You're listening to The Grip, where we take hold of mindset and martial arts. Now, let's get started. Welcome back to The Grip. Today we're diving into one of our special mini episodes where we mix things up with a few fast-paced segments. We'll kick things off with Grip and Go, a round of rapid-fire questions to loosen things up and to get to know our guest in a fun way. Then we'll move into Roll Call, where I bring in questions straight from you, our listeners and audience. That way the guest can tackle what's on your mind. And to wrap it all up, we'll finish with Word into Wisdom. In this segment, the guest picks a number between 1 and 100. That number ties to a word from the NICE list, which can be motivational and uplifting terms, and the naughty list, the gritty, tough, and sometimes challenging words. Once revealed, the guest unpacks the word, sharing their personal definition and how it's shown up in their life or martial arts journey, and what wisdom they take from it. That's it. 3 rounds, 1 conversation. Let's get into it. All right. Welcome back, everybody. If you haven't listened, go back to or where Boris and I dive a little bit deeper into his story and all the awesome things that he's doing with his sports club in Kirkland, Washington. But for now, we are going to move forward with our mini episode. And so we are going to first start off with our Grip and Go series. So this is just more rapid fire questions that we'll run through just to get to know you in a more fun and lighthearted way. So our first question is gi or no gi?
Gi.
Do you train both?
I mean, I've done some grappling with no gi, but I think gi's the only way to go, realistically.
Okay. Joint locks or chokes?
Probably a choke.
Okay. Training morning, afternoon, or nights?
I I think it's better to do mornings. Afternoons are probably the easiest, and I only end up training at night.
If you could roll with any martial artist, alive or dead, it would be?
Oh, that's super tough.
And maybe not roll, if you could train with any martial artist.
You know, I think I would love to train with Bruce Lee. I think like that would probably be, I mean, that's every kid's dream, right? And especially in the martial arts space, I think that would be super awesome. There's a ton of boxers that I would love to learn from. But then if I had to roll with somebody, I love rolling with our professor Cam and, you know, like with our team. I love them. And so
Yeah, very cool. I'm going to do a side question off of this too, just because you are a dabbler in all things. Are you like a fan of fencing or dancing or skiing, all the different other avenues that you've been in? Do you have a sport or an activity that you follow like pretty strictly?
I don't have a lot of time to, but I will always watch like I'll watch all like the top fencing competitions and the Olympics. I'm super bad with names, so I really couldn't name somebody super famous. Like if you show me their fencing and you talk about who they are, I'll be like, yes, I love them. That's great.
Sure.
Likewise for skiing, I mean, you know, I'll watch the Olympics, but those sports are so much more intimate to me that I want to be in the process more than like watch the process. But I would watch fencing any day, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many different aspects of it, right? Like there's like slalom racing, or there's like a long jump, or when they do tricks, X Games and stuff like that. I love all different approaches and the different sports. So it's not that I'm, you know, a diehard fan of one of them. I'm a fan of everything. And so I love watching boxing. I love watching MMA. I rarely will watch a jiu-jitsu tournament because I mean that could just take a while, and I feel like I'm there, like I'm struggling with them, and so that's so hard for me, you know. But I love to watch a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. Your personal fuel before training is?
A water and a banana.
Keeping it simple.
Yep.
The phrase you repeat to yourself on hard days is.
Ooh, this one is a tough one. Like if I need a motivational phrase, I came up with a phrase, or maybe I heard somewhere or whatever back in high school. But if I really need to get something done, I'll tell myself by God or by thunder. And to me, that means one way or another, we're getting it done. Is it by faith, by my own hands, whatever, by God or by thunder, we're getting it done. But otherwise, I'll just say, I'll just tell myself, like, let's do it. Just go.
Yeah.
Like, power through it. Don't give up.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Good. A wellness habit you wish you started sooner is.
sleeping 8 hours a day.
Did you
I wish I
ever
could sleep more.
you a good sleeper ever in high school and college or whatever? You just always been a
No.
bad sleeper.
I think maybe when I was a little kid, but I would get up early even when I was on like weekends. I don't think I've ever slept in. My sister, my twin sister, was the sleeper for the both of us. And even now, she can sleep like 10 hours, 11 hours and wake up no issues. If I sleep like 9 hours or more, I will have a headache when I wake up. You know, for me, 7 to 8 hours is ideal. And if I have like a super bad week where I'm sleeping like 5 or 6 hours multiple days, on a weekend I will crash, and I can like 9 hours or 10 if it's been. I think I once slept almost 10 hours, and I woke up and I was shocked. I was like, "Am
In
I
a
okay?"
panic.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god." But otherwise, yeah, I wish I could just get a solid 8, and I would be happy with that.
Yeah. Um, you feel most grateful when.
Um, when when other people are grateful. I think it reminds me that we are so we take gratitude for granted, and I think we don't say thank you enough. I think every hug and every thank you and just every God bless or whatever should remind us that we ourselves should be grateful. And so
Mhm.
whenever anyone is feeling gratitude and portray it, I immediately am like, oh wait, that's right. I am also thankful. Like I am blessed and all of this stuff. And so
Yeah.
reminds me, and at the end of the day I try to do a moment of gratitude and try to remember the things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah. The best advice you've ever received was.
um that's a good one. um that's so tough, but like a lot of things that my dad had said, like, be cautious but never afraid. And then he also kind of instilled in us to dress well and treat ourselves with respect, and then we will like live well. And so me and my sister, from that, we have a motto. It's like, look good, feel good, live good. And it
Yeah.
starts, uh, if you get yourself into a state where you're looking good, you could fake it till you make it. Then you start feeling good, and then that carries over into the rest of life. So for us, it's not necessarily like fashion or whatever. It's just being clean, being, well kept or whatever, and just look good, feel good, live good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Awesome. Very good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to transition into our roll call series. So this is just a series of questions that I gathered that was from friends, family, people from the audience that have written in. And so pulled some that I thought would be pertinent and nice to hear from you. So our first question is, if someone didn't grow up doing sports, and you already kind of touched on this in our initial conversation, but if somebody didn't grow up doing sports, are they already behind if they want to start martial arts as an adult?
It really just depends on what their goals are. And sometimes you got to be realistic, right? And if a person is 35 and starting a sport, they're not going to be an Olympic athlete. That's just the reality of how it is. To be the highest level athlete that you can be, you really have to start young. But there is no sport, there's nothing in this world that you are too old or too late to start. You have to define your own goal and your own successes based on the reality of the situation. But I believe that anybody can learn anything,
Mm-hmm.
and they really just try and they really focus on it. And so we get lots of people who come into our club, and for some reason it's people who are in their mid 30s, and they walk in and they're like, I'm too old to do this sport, right? And I'm like, we got people who are like in their late We got people in their 60s doing boxing. Like, what are you talking? Like, um, just the other day, a guy who tried our jujitsu class for the first time, and he was like so winded, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm too old for this, whatever." And I'm like, "Well, how old are you?" Right? You never want to be impolite or whatever, but he's like talking about it. I'm like, "Well, how old are you?" He's like, I'm 36 or something like that. And Cam just happened to be passing by. He's our jujitsu professor. I'm like, "Hey Cam, real quick, how old are you?" And Cam is like 35 or 36, right? And he just says it and keeps going. And I'm like, there you go. Your professor that is that old. And what, like you have no excuse.
Yeah.
Um, in there, right? Like, so I don't think age should be a factor. It should be a factor in how hard you push yourself, the goals you define, but you should always pursue the things you want to do. Always try something new. I think that's super important.
Yeah. And I think, yes, there are different foundational things or skills that we can get from various sports or activities growing up. But I don't care what realm or prior experience that you have. As soon as you are in day one of martial arts, everybody's behind. You're going to be behind. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're a kid, if you're an adult, you're behind. And so many people are, no matter as they're gaining belts and stripes, you're always going to be behind. And that's, I think, the beauty of the sport is you are never going to stop learning. And so if you're okay with that and just continuing to be ready to like grind it out and always being able to like take something away from it, it's pretty awesome. So okay, next question is, what's the biggest misconception people have before walking into a martial arts gym for the first time?
That's so tough because I can't remember what my perspective was like before I've had the club. I mean, I
Mhm.
kind of because my brother dropped me into it, but I don't think I had any like, conceived notions necessarily. I've just been in sports for so long. It's kind of so tough to say, but I think if somebody says like, "Oh, it's a boxing gym," or "Oh, it's an MMA gym," people are like, "Oh, they must beat the crap out of each other in there." You
Right.
know, I'm so scared. I'm so intimidated because I don't have any of those skills and they're just going to beat me up. I want to say like 9 out of 10 times, no, that's not going to happen. Right. Like
Mhm.
most are very, very welcoming, especially the different arts. Some of them are super welcoming. Like the jujitsu community is one of the most accepting and most patient communities ever because those people have gone through that exact journey. And it is a journey, and most people understand that it takes time and they're willing to help you and they're willing to, you know, take you on that ride and journey with them. And so I think that most people are afraid of we get lots of people who are like, I think private lessons, I don't know anything. I'm kind of embarrassed to go to class. That class is actually specifically for you because most people don't know what they're doing and somebody's going to teach you that. So
Mhm.
that's what people need to understand is these are places of learning specifically for people who are looking to learn and might not have those skills. And so,
Mhm.
you're not getting beat up most likely. You're not, going to get laughed at because you don't know what you're doing. And so that's what I would tell people. Like, don't be afraid of that. Um just go for it.
Yeah. Good. How do you balance training intensity with longevity?
Um I would say that rest and recovery is so much more valuable and more important than the intensity. Lots of people love to go really, really hard and then they get injured and then they can't continue doing the sport that they love. And so, just like anything, just like building the pyramids, you're going to have to go block by block. And sometimes you're going to have to take a break and you're going to have to rest. And I would say, really, it should be 40% going hard and then 60% focusing on the recovery and reflection of the things that you're doing. That's what I would
Mhm.
say.
Yeah. Good. What do you wish more recreational athletes understood about training smart?
Again, I think recovery is a big part of it. And I think there's got to be a balance between pushing yourself and being reckless in whichever sport, right? Some people are really, really fast to want to get into sparring or get into harder practices before fully the fundamentals or before really understanding what their body is capable of. And so I would say slow and steady wins the race, right? Like
Mm.
focus and learn the things that you really need to, like the basics. And there's no one is too advanced to focus on the fundamentals. Be it a black belt in jujitsu or a pro boxer, everybody could use a refresher course in the fundamentals and could focus on that. And so if you're recreational and you're just doing it for yourself, take your time. Focus on the fitness aspects, on the recovery of it, and don't try to run ahead of the train.
Good. What's a loss that changed you more than a win ever did?
I think I talked about this maybe in the previous episode, but that first big loss that I had in fencing fundamentally changed my approach to sports and to maybe life as a whole. I learned that losing is learning, and I've been chasing that feeling ever since. And I really do think that you got to lose more than you win. And that big moment of where I like faced my own inadequacies and was like, oh, I want to learn how to fix that. And I want to get back, I think was that fundamental moment.
Yeah. And after a loss, knowing like I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
And being able to be like, okay, we know our baseline, time to move forward. Yeah, got some things to work on. So
If it's not life or death, don't be so worried about it, you know? And if it is life or death and you fail, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You know what I mean? So I can have a bit more levity in life because ultimately only as serious as you want it to be. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be serious, and discipline is important and hard work is important, but like a loss is a loss. And if you are able to take that loss, learn from it and keep going, then ultimately you will be stronger, right? And so this concept of no pain, no gain. Yeah, sometimes you're going to be left with a lot of pain and it's going to suck, but you can change your perspective on it and you can just fight to persevere, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I love it. What's one rule or value you think every gym should have?
Respect is number one. Safety and respect is number one, especially in a combat gym and an environment like that. You are there to learn. Other people are there to learn. Respect each other, respect your space. There's no need to be malicious, be mean, be difficult. I've seen some hot-headed people get a little bit too aggressive. I've seen kids who don't understand what respect in that space means. And if you're gaining the tools to hurt somebody or to, do some damage physically or whatever, you better be using those tools in the right way. You better be learning that just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Number one thing, respect and the discipline that comes along with that.
Yeah, good. What's something no one tells you about owning a gym?
Man, they don't tell you anything about it. We should be talking more about that, like just how much stuff is in and how much you have to keep track of. People leave everything everywhere. People will forget stuff. You will have people asking you a million questions all the time. I mean, there's a million things. Running a gym is like, I don't even know what a good, it's like counting sand, right? Like you're getting lost in it and you're forgetting like, oh, we're in the middle of building a sandcastle. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to really take a step back and recognize forest for the trees or the trees for the forest, whatever. So yeah, it's more hectic than you would think is what I would say.
Yeah, I love it. It is truly comical, but you're doing it. You got the sandcastle. Maybe just take a break from trying to count the sand particles here and there.
Yeah, I think that's also good. Sometimes you also got to take a step back and breathe. And so another thing I would say is you don't have to micromanage. Whatever you're micromanaging in your life, I don't think you should, right? Sometimes you really got to ease up on the gas pedal and just let life kind of go with the flow for a little bit.
Sure. Good. I love that. Why do you think sports and martial arts are especially powerful for kids?
This is something I'm super passionate about. And I truly believe that sports is the number one thing for a kid to do. I mean, it's so tough with my background and my lifestyle. I want everybody to do everything. I think it's so important to have like cross-sectional skills. I don't even know how to say it, but you know a little bit about everything. life. And I think like movement is so important for kids. Just understanding their body, understanding themselves physically in a space. And it doesn't really matter what sport you do. Is it dance? Is it swimming, basketball, running, whatever? It's just super important for them to move and also to understand the hard work and the grit that comes behind practicing, right? And understanding showing up on time, going through the work, feeling that soreness, whatever. I think it trains everything. I think it hardwires the brain to be in a certain way. And it really devastates me when I see kids who are out of shape or are just sitting and they're deep in their iPad or whatever, and they're just missing out on the world. You know, kids who
Mm-hmm.
can't run, who can't climb in a jungle gym. Um, that's just it makes me sad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like kid, kids should be doing crazy stuff
Mm-hmm.
within, and they should be exploring the world. And in order to do that, they need the skills in order to manage all of those physical things. And so,
Mm-hmm.
sports is important. My parents made us do every sport under the sun, and I think every kid should do something.
Yeah. What's one moment that reminded you why you started?
Um, it, I will say that this is like probably a string of moments, but every time somebody comes up to me and says thank you. We had a guy who had been in like a real tough spot in his life, and he started coming to boxing, and he would go fairly often, and he would hang out at the gym, and it would be like the space for him. And at one point he came up and he's like, "Hey man, you guys really helped me out. You kind of saved my life." And I was like, oh crap, we're doing it. We're helping people.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think you guys will continue to do so. It sounds like you guys are really passionate about creating a space that can move people in a positive way, especially with all the different opportunities. So that's awesome. What advice would you give someone who feels stuck but doesn't know what their next move is?
This is so tough because I find myself in this situation too. You know, especially when you're grinding all the time, sometimes you just forget you could be doing something else. You could be something new. For a person who's stuck, it depends what they're stuck in, right? But I think one way to get out of that rut is to do something different, to do something scary. Open up Google, type in a random activity, go do that activity. You know, you've never done something before, do that. And I think the second you recognize you're not an NPC, right? You're in charge of the decisions you make every day. You start to figure out like, oh, okay, well then what is the next step that I do? So I would think something completely crazy. If you can, well, it should be difficult and it should be scary.
Yeah.
And that's what I would recommend people do.
Yeah, good advice. I think there's a lot that would come from that, emotionally, physically, whatever, that would just hopefully ignite forward movement in some way, shape, or form. So good advice. Okay, Boris, our very last section is our word into wisdom. So you're going to choose a number from 1 to 100. We're going to pull a word from our naughty list, which is more challenging terms. And then we are going to pull a word from our nice list, which is more uplifting or motivating terms. And just want you to provide either a personal definition, how it's shown up in your life or journey, and any wisdom that you take from it.
Okay.
Would you like to start with naughty or nice?
We can do naughty.
Okay. Now 1 to 100.
Let's do let's do 71.
71. Stubbornness. So
Ooh.
refusing to change even when it's clearly needed.
This is my favorite word. It defines me and my family. We are stubborn as it gets, and I think some amount of stubbornness is good. You have to learn when to not budge on your values, on your decisions. I think it's maybe like a double-sided sword. You gotta learn when to be stubborn and when to kind of let go. And I think that is a challenge for lots of people. But I would encourage everybody to be a little stubborn, but not too stubborn.
Love it. Out of you or your sister, who do you feel like is more stubborn?
Oh my
Or
gosh, I don't know.
any or Alex too.
So tough because we're really the worst. What's interesting is we're so stubborn in different ways. Like we are we are passionate about different things. We will all die on separate hills, but you know we will die convincing each other of certain things. It's so tough to say. And in a sense, I've learned to love and respect the stubbornness in each of us. And so I don't know. I would say, like, when I'm arguing,
How did your poor mother manage the stubbornness between you kids? Or would she
she's
just
just as
hands
stubborn.
off and was like, all right, you
No,
got to
our
figure
mom
it out yourselves?
stubborn. Yeah, and so it's her way or the highway, and then or the highway. You know what I mean? It was the highway. Some things, and yeah, she kind of was like, okay, well, that's your decision. You're gonna live with it. And so yeah, bless all of us. But I would say the who's most stubborn is the person I'm arguing with at the time.
Of course. What a fitting word from our challenging list.
Yeah,
Okay, let's move over to our nice list. Again, 1 to 100.
let's do 36.
Okay. Overcome, to get the better of or to gain the superiority.
Overcoming can be so much. Overcome can even have a couple of definitions. You could be
Oh,
overcome,
yeah.
right? You can be overwhelmed, or you can overcome something. And I think that just by itself, it's a really powerful word, and it should be motivational. If you hear the word overcome, you should feel motivation to keep going and to make it past whatever it is that's challenging you. You overcome, you rise above. So I think it's a great word. And I think maybe we don't use it enough, right? I think people need to be reminded that you can overcome and you can keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Well, I got nothing else to say besides thank you. You've just been an absolute pleasure, Boris. You're witty, you're funny, maybe a little stubborn, but I think very relatable. And so I hope people that listen in follow along and support you guys and go and check out the gym. You're doing great things, and you guys have just by meeting you and Serge and Cam and a few of the folks in there, you guys have just such a warm and welcoming environment. But I really believe in what you guys are doing, and I think it's going to be great to see all the good things that come from your guys' space. So I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for giving me the time and space just to chat and get to know you and what you guys are doing there. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk a little bit about myself. We're excited to see who else you're going to have on and to see the journey you're on. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So for those listening or watching, please go check out their gym in Kirkland, Washington at Orion Sports Club. Check out their website or check them out on Instagram at orion.sportsclub. Anything else you want to tell the people, Boris?
The only thing I could say is go outside for a walk, do something scary, challenge yourself, and love life. That's all.
Yeah, very good. Avoid Taco Bell, get some sleep, all the things.
Yeah, try
All
to
right.
get in your 8 hours if you can. Be healthy. Brush your teeth. All of the.
But we could just keep going.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Boris.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Grip. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow along on Instagram at The Grip Pod to stay up to date on new episodes. That way you can send over a DM if you've got a question you'd like to hear answered on our roll call series. Now remember, stay sharp, be grounded, and never lose your grip. See you next time.